Well, we're putting this one out on UK election day. We're recording it slightly ahead, but I don't think much is going to change. All the parties seem to be where they were when they started this whole thing, just about, but who's best for the Isle of Man?
Well, of course, the polls over the last few weeks throughout the whole of the campaign have been pretty well static. They've moved up or down 1 or 2%, but nothing really has changed. It would indicate that there is going to be a coalition of some description at the end of it. Quite what that coalition is going to be, bearing in mind some of the comments which have been made over the last few days, is anyone's guess. What's best for the Isle of Man? Again, the problem we have, I think, is believing political rhetoric at election time. Mr. Miliband has made all sorts of threats against offshore jurisdictions, the non-doms, beneficial ownership, many other things which could be seen in adverse light. On that basis, one might say that Labour would be bad for the Isle of Man, and therefore we should look for a Tory.
Yeah, I would say to you, the Tories
Tory-led coalition.
Yeah, but Tories say they're not going to put VAT, for instance. Now that's the one thing that hits immediately. You know, you see money, because obviously if they have to find money from somewhere, VAT has always been the easy option, hasn't it? And that would help the Isle of Man, you, the government, having more VAT receipts.
Well, it would certainly help government finances. But they're saying it presumably wouldn't help the community if they got to pay more in
but they're saying
sales
no.
tax.
They're saying no more taxes.
I have to say that's a rather strange commitment for any government party to make, agreeing to freeze income tax, to freeze VAT, to freeze national insurance. It's a great
and have a law to do it as well.
And have a law to do it. It's a great outcome if that's what happens, but it ties the hands of any future chancellor. If a crisis does blow up in 2 or 3 years' time, if things as they are today do come off the rails, how do they cope with that? You know, that promise, whether it's a law or not, will have to go out the window. They've got to be realistic and live with the conditions that they have to deal with on the day. So, yes, it's a nice promise. It probably will sell well for the next week, but it has great dangers for the UK economy as a result of that.
Probably whatever happens is you'll have new people to deal with in Westminster, will you? Is that always another thing, to meet the new person, the new contact, make new relationships?
We consciously now, for the last, certainly all the time I've been Chief Minister, we have regular visits to London. We've met leaders, ministers, influential people across all the political spectrum, every party we've met. We have an exceptionally good relationship, for example, with the Scottish Nationalist Party. I have a good personal relationship with Alex Salmond. I will be meeting Nicola Sturgeon at the BIC meeting in June when it takes place. So we have an almost immediate contact with one of the key players.
She could be very powerful.
She could be and will be very powerful.
Real.
But every election throws up new personalities, whatever the lineup of the government is, and you know, my guess is as good as anyone else's as to what the final shape will be. But we will continue to maintain contacts with people we already know, people we meet on a regular basis, friends of the Isle of Man, and we will then be able to identify who the new players are. And undoubtedly, whatever government, even if the coalition was to go back, there would be new players in key positions. Every government has to freshen itself up. So we have to start the whole process over again. And I'm already booked to go to Westminster. I think it's the middle of May, second or third week in May, to start to make those early contacts.
Because in the past, the Labour government was always good for the Isle of Man, wasn't it? Because
it has been, yes.
The tax situation.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to be there anymore, does it really?
No, I think things have moved on from those days. We just have to wait and see what their policies are on the day.
So, as I said, we are recording this in advance. Do you want to call it? Who's the next Prime Minister? Or
I couldn't. The only thing I am absolutely certain of is that the SNP will be the third largest party and they will be the kingmakers. And in spite of the political rhetoric we're hearing at the moment about refusal to go into coalition with them, they will have a role to play, either as coalition partners or as supporters on an issue-by-issue basis. They will be a very influential body over the next Parliament. And I think it's good at this stage that the Isle of Man has such a good relationship with them. I think that's one issue we have called right, and we have good friends there, and I hope that will be to the Isle of Man's benefit in the years to come.